Welcome. Tonight we begin in stillness. Not the quiet of snow, nor the hush of sleep, but something colder, older, a silence with no name, no sound, and no time. Before gods, before men, before even the idea of beginning. This is the Norse cosmos, slow to take form, steady in its unfolding and indifferent to heroism. It does not shout, it mutters, it remembers, and in its memory is a long, slow rhythm. Birth, struggle, waiting, and eventual return. This is not a tale of triumph, nor one of tragedy. It is simply the shape of time told in frost and fire. We will move gently tonight through the entire Norse mythic cycle, from the yawning void of Ginnungagap to the quiet field after the last war, through frost giants and whispering crows, through sacrifice and silence, through the patient unspooling of a world always doomed to end but never in haste. Let the stories come slowly, let the names drift by like snowflakes on the wind. You do not need to remember them all. They will come and go like all things in this world. Some will echo, others will simply fade. You can listen, or dream, or drift. There is no rush. Let us begin with nothing. Segment 1, Ginnungagap. How the world was made of ice, fire, and a cow. Before everything there was a gap. A space with no edges, no stars, no wind. It had a name, Ginnungagap, the yawning abyss. Not darkness exactly, because there was no light to contrast. Not cold, because there was no warmth. Just potential. On one side of the gap was Muspelheim, land of fire. Hot, bright, wild. A realm that burned with no direction. Fire without form. On the other side, Niflheim, icy, dark and thick with mist. A place of frozen rivers and silent glaciers. Cold that did not bite because there was no flesh to feel it yet. Between them was Ginnungagap. And then something shifted. The heat of Muspelheim met the ice of Niflheim deep in the middle of the void. Where they touched, the ice began to melt. Not quickly, not dramatically, just drip by drip. A slow rhythm, a quiet transformation. From these melting drops life began. The first was Ymir, a proto-being. Neither man nor god. A giant, a presence. From his sweat came more giants, born from the folds of his body. The rhythm of life begins not with intention, but with unfolding. Alongside Ymir came Audhumla. She was a cow, vast, ancient, calm. She nourished Ymir with rivers of milk flowing from her body without pause. And she licked the salty ice. Day by day her tongue worked the frozen stone, not with violence, with repetition. From the ice emerged Buri, the first of the gods. He came slowly, head, then shoulders, then the rest. Formed not by force, but by persistence. Buri had a son, Bor. Bor had 3 sons, Odin, Vili, and Ve. And the gap grew crowded. Ymir, the ancestor of giants, and Odin, the ancestor of gods, could not long share the same space. So Odin and his brothers acted. They killed Ymir, not with drama, with necessity, with purpose. Ymir's blood flowed out, a tide so vast that it drowned nearly all the other giants. Only a few escaped, floating on fragments of bone and bark. From Ymir's body the world was shaped. His flesh became the land. His bones, the mountains, his teeth, the stones, his skull, the sky, his blood, the seas, his hair, the forests, his brains, the clouds. The world, then, is not separate from the body. It is the body, still warm, still remembered. And the gods were not finished. They took sparks from Muspelheim and hung them in the sky. Stars. They shaped the first humans, Ask and Embla, from driftwood on a beach. They gave them breath and thought and movement. Not in a moment, but as a gentle crafting, they raised Midgard, the world of humans, and built a great wall around it from Ymir's eyebrows to keep out the chaos. Above it Asgard, the realm of the Aesir, the gods. Beneath the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree. It held all realms, 9 in total, some named, some only felt. Niflheim, where the cold still whispers. Muspelheim, still burning. Midgard, where men wander. Asgard, where the gods drink and plan. Jotunheim, land of giants. Alfheim, of light elves. Svartalfheim, of dwarves in deep stone. Vanaheim, land of older gods. And Hel, the quiet place where most dead go. Each realm with its own rhythm, its own stillness. The world was not perfect, but it was built, layer by layer, breath by breath, and it was not made to last. Even at the beginning the gods knew the end was part of the structure. The seed was already planted. The wolf was already born. the serpent already curled, the end already waiting, quiet and certain. But for now the world stood, and Odin looked out upon it, one eye still untraded, and wondered what it all meant. Soon he would seek answers, sacrifice, wander, and the world would turn again. But that is for next. For now, imagine yourself in Ginnungagap. Feel the cold mist of Niflheim drifting in, the far warmth of Muspelheim flickering like distant embers, the dripping melt that begins all things. No sound, no wind, no pressure to remember, only the slow beginning of something vast. The story continues. Ymir's death did not just give shape to the land, it gave it weight, meaning, memory. Imagine the stillness after the storm. 3 brothers, Odin, Vili and Ve, standing over what remains of Ymir. Not triumphant, not remorseful, simply doing what must be done. From that act of shaping, the 9 realms began to stretch and take their place. Not in a flat world, but in branches, roots and planes that intersect. Not always visibly, but always truly. At the centre of it all grew Yggdrasil, the world tree. It is not a symbol, it is not an idea. It is a tree, alive, vast. Its branches reach above the sky. Its roots run deeper than death. Its bark holds time. Its leaves hum with breath. Yggdrasil connects the 9 realms, but it also contains them. You can travel from one to another, but not in a straight line. You follow winds, dreams, runes, sometimes death. At the top, where light glows softly through unseen clouds, is Asgard, home of the Aesir gods. They walk there with purpose, each carrying long memory and slow grudges. Below it lies Midgard, the human world surrounded by oceans and danger. It is tethered to Asgard by a rainbow bridge, Bifrost, which flickers in the sky like aurora or stormlight. Only the gods may cross it freely. Beneath Midgard lies Helheim, or simply Hell. Not a fiery place, but a cold one. Silent, grey, the realm where most of the dead go, not for punishment, but because all things must go somewhere. Further out are stranger lands, Jotunheim, land of the giants. Not evil, not chaotic, but old and wild. They live in stone halls and whisper to the wind. They remember the time before gods. Vanaheim, realm of the Vanigods. Earthier, gentler, keepers of secrets and cycles. In time, they will come to live with the Aesir, but for now, they dwell in mists and forests. Alfheim, land of the light elves. Not Tinkerbell, but radiant, delicate, elusive. They do not speak to mortals, they are seen only in dreams. Svartalfheim, or sometimes Nidavellir, home of the dwarves, small, silent smiths. They live in deep caverns, crafting tools of power. Their world smells of smoke and iron. Their speech is clipped, their hands always busy, and far to the edge, Muspelheim, still burning, still shifting. Home of fire giants and of Surtur, who waits with a flaming sword. He does not rush, but one day he will rise. And at the opposite edge, Niflheim, cold, wet, old. Home of Fergelmir, the wellspring, a source of rivers and chill. From it flows 11 streams winding outward, freezing over time, shaping the edges of the world. One of Yggdrasil's roots drinks from Fergelmir, another from Mimir's well, the well of wisdom. The third, Urd's well, where the Norns dwell. The Norns are 3, Urd the past, Verdandi the present, Skuld the future. They do not speak often, but they carve runes, they tend to the roots of Yggdrasil. They pour water and white clay over its base, keeping it alive. They do not answer prayers, but they know how each story ends, and so the world is not random. It is not chaotic. It is ordered, tended, but also temporary. Even from the beginning things rot. Yggdrasil has a pest. A great serpent, Nidogga, gnaws at its roots. High above, a great eagle sits in its upper branches. Between them flies Ratatoska, a squirrel who gossips and stirs tension. The gods have created the world, but already it begins to erode. They build a great wall around Asgard, hiring a mysterious builder. When they refuse to pay him, he turns out to be a giant. The gods break their word. Loki distracts his horse. The wall is completed anyway. This is the mood of early Asgard: ambition, trickery, uneasy alliances. The gods do not rule from on high, they wander, they bargain, they err. Odin is already restless. He sits in Hlidskjalf, his high seat looking over all the worlds. But it is not enough. He seeks knowledge. He visits Mimir's well, guarded by his uncle Mimir. The price of a drink? 1 eye. Odin does not hesitate. He drinks. He sees more. but it is never enough. Later he will hang himself from Yggdrasil for 9 nights, pierced by his own spear in silence alone, not to die but to learn the runes, symbols of power, of fate, of sound and silence. This is the rhythm of the world the gods built. Not perfect, not eternal, but functional, fragile, held together by ritual and repetition. They ride out each day, they return each night, they gather in halls, they feast, they remember what was, and they try not to speak of what will be. Because already, in the corners of the story, the end waits. The wolf is growing, the serpent is stirring, and somewhere a seed of mistletoe begins to sprout. But for now, this world still holds, it creaks, it weeps, but it stands, and you are here at its edge, watching frost melt into form, watching the void become branch and bark. The story has just begun. Now that the world has taken shape, let us turn to its keepers, the gods who walk the halls of Asgard, the Aesir. They do not shine like the Olympians. They do not sit still on thrones of cloud. These gods move, they wander, they err, they age, slowly yes, but not without care. They are powerful, but always uneasy. Their strength is tempered by knowledge, that their world, like all things, is temporary. At the centre of it all is Odin. He is called All-Father, but not because he created everything. He fathers many things, yes, but his name carries weight for a different reason, because he seeks, always. He is not a god of comfort, he is a god of sacrifice. He gave one eye for wisdom. He hung from Yggdrasil to gain the runes. He consults the dead. He whispers with crows. Each day 2 ravens fly from his shoulders, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory. They travel the 9 realms, they see, they return, they tell him what they saw. But Odin fears they may not return one day, and so even in the heart of power there is unease. He gathers knowledge not to enjoy it but to prepare, for the war he knows will come. For Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, he prepares quietly, always. Around him are others. Frigg, his wife, sees the future too, but she does not speak of it. She keeps her counsel, she watches, she mourns things before they happen. Thor, their son, is not subtle. He does not care for secrets. He prefers storms, movement, and his hammer, Mjolnir. He rides in a chariot pulled by goats. When he arrives, thunder follows. But Thor is not cruel, he is a protector. Loud, yes, blunt, certainly, but his strength serves a purpose, to hold the line, to defend Asgard from the giants beyond. He travels often to Jotunheim, where giants dwell. These are not monsters. They are not always hostile, but they are other. Thor meets them in contests, in conversations, in confusion. He eats with them, fights them, and always returns with another story. Then there is Loki. He is difficult. Not evil, not good. A trickster, a shapeshifter, a storyteller. He is a blood brother to Odin. Trusted, included, necessary. He brings solutions, often through chaos. He distracts a builder to save the gods from a broken oath. He steals back Thor's hammer when it is lost. He finds ways out when others see only dead ends, but each help comes at a cost. His tricks begin to sting. He mocks the gods during feasts. He changes shape without asking. He pushes limits. And then comes the tragedy. Balder, Odin and Frigg's son, begins to have dreams of death, of falling, of darkness. Frigg, desperate to protect him, makes every living thing swear never to harm Balder. Fire, water, metal, stone, trees, beasts, diseases, all promise. Except one, mistletoe. Too small, too young, Frigg overlooks it. The gods, thinking Balder invincible, begin to play. They throw spears and stones at him. Nothing hurts him. It becomes a game. Loki watches. He fashions a dart of mistletoe, gives it to Hodder, Balder's blind brother, helps him aim. The dart flies, Balder falls, the hall falls silent. Odin does not rage. He understands. This was always coming. But still, it hurts. Frigg begs someone to go to Hel, the realm of the dead, and bring Balder back. Hermodr, another son of Odin, rides for 9 nights through darkness. Hel agrees to return Balder if every living thing weeps for him, and they do, all but one. A giantess, or perhaps Loki in disguise. She refuses, and so Balder stays dead. This is the turning point. Loki is hunted, bound, chained in a cave. A serpent hung above him, dripping venom. His wife, Sigyn, stays beside him, catching the drops in a bowl. But when she empties the bowl, the venom strikes him. He writhes, and the world trembles. The gods try to continue, They gather in Valhalla, Odin's hall, where chosen warriors feast until Ragnarok. They keep order, they hold ceremonies, they watch. But the world is shifting, the gods grow fewer, the shadows grow longer. Already the serpent beneath the sea stirs, the wolf breaks stronger chains each time, the dead in Helheim grow restless. Odin continues to prepare, he teaches mortals, trains warriors, fosters the line that may one day survive what comes, but he knows he will not. None of them will. This is not despair, it is not drama, it is knowledge, and from that knowledge comes care. Care for the world, for order, for meaning. Now, as you rest, picture Asgard not as a place of perfection but of effort. Gods waking early, gathering at the council stone, watching the sky, remembering what was, anticipating what must be. The fire has not yet begun, the ice has not yet broken, but the crack is there, and the gods hear it. The world does not end with a roar, not at first. It begins with silence, with watchfulness, with a feeling in the air that something has shifted. In the world of the Norse gods, the end is not a surprise. It has always been known, it has always been coming. But even so, it arrives slowly. The first signs are not wars or fires, but births, children. Quiet at first, strange, powerful. Loki, who once helped the gods, who once made them laugh, has children. Not with Sigyn, the quiet wife who stays beside him, but with a giantess. 3 beings are born, the first, Fenrir, a wolf. Not an ordinary beast, but vast. Growing faster than nature allows, eyes too bright, paws too wide, a presence too heavy for a child. The gods watch him with uneasy fascination. They raise him in Asgard for a while, hoping, perhaps, that love and structure will calm him. But he grows, and the fear grows with him. They decide he must be bound. Twice they try, using thick iron chains. Twice he breaks them, the sound of his strength splitting the metal echoes across the halls. So the gods ask the dwarves, deep in their stony forges, for something different. A chain not made of iron, but of paradox. The roots of a mountain, the breath of a fish, the sound of a cat's footfall, the beard of a woman, the spittle of a bird, the sinews of a bear. From these impossible things the dwarves weave Gleipnir, a chain soft as silk but stronger than stone. They ask Fenrir to test it. He agrees, on one condition. One of the gods must place their hand in his jaws as a sign of trust. Only Tyr, the god of law and oath, steps forward. They bind the wolf. He struggles, cannot break free. He bites. Tyr loses his hand. Fenrir howls, but the gods are already turning away. He's chained now, far away, still growing. Then there is the second child, Jormungandr the serpent. They throw him into the sea. He sinks and keeps sinking. He grows so large that he encircles the world. His body lies beneath the ocean, coiled, his tail in his mouth. He waits. And the third, Hel. She's not a monster, not entirely. Half her face is alive, young, pale, thoughtful. The other half is lifeless, grey, still and dry. Odin sees her and gives her a realm, Helheim, the place for the dead who do not die in battle, the old, the quiet, the forgotten. She rules it fairly, without cruelty, but with no warmth. The gods place these children far away, but they do not forget them. They cannot. And above them all, the Norns continue their work. Urd, Verdandi, Skuld, the past, the present, the future. They carve runes, they pour water over Yggdrasil's roots. They speak only what must be spoken. They do not comfort, they do not warn, they observe. And the gods feel time slipping. Then Balder dies. We have already spoken of it, but it is the crack that spreads. A god, good, beautiful, radiant, killed by a game, by a dart, by a trick. A god dies, and is not returned. The balance begins to falter. Winter lasts longer. Crops wither. Animals change their paths. Men grow crueler, more forgetful, less grateful. The moral order, frith, a kind of sacred peace, begins to erode. And still, the gods wait. They do not try to undo it. They do not rebuild. They gather their chosen. They whisper to their ravens. They watch the sky. In Midgard, mortals continue to live. They tell stories of gods they no longer see. They build fires. They carve runes. They watch the stars and notice quietly that the serpent in the sky seems to be turning. And under the ground, in Helheim, Hel watches too. She says nothing, but she's always listening. Now, as you lie still, imagine the 9 realms as a quiet clockwork. Each piece turning and each moment passing, each god preparing not for victory, but for inevitability. This is not a story of saving the world. This is a story of watching it fade. The gods knew it was coming, and they had always known. But when it arrives, it does not begin with fire or thunder. It begins with winter. Fimbulwinter, they call it. The Great Winter. It is not one season, but three. 3 winters in a row with no summer between them. The snow comes early and does not melt. Winds sharpen, trees split, rivers slow beneath their ice. And people forget kindness. Families turn inward. Neighbours become strangers. Food runs low. Hope even lower. The stories say that even brothers will kill brothers, that oaths will be broken, that the old ways will be left behind. But there is no rush. The first winter simply lingers, and then the next, and then another. And by the time the sun returns, it does not matter, because by then everything is already falling. The wolves are loose, not just Fenrir, who breaks free of his chains with a sound like mountains cracking, but Skoll and Hati, the wolves who chase the sun and moon, and this time they catch them. The sky goes dark, the stars vanish. Yggdrasil shudders, not breaks, but trembles all the way to its roots. In Jotunheim the giants begin to move. In Muspelheim Surtur rises, sword blazing. He marches with his fire giants across Bifrost. The bridge burns behind them. The gods gather. Odin dons his helm, mounts his horse, Sleipnir with 8 legs, and rides to face what must be faced. Thor grips Mjolnir. He knows he will not return, but still he goes. Frey, the bright god, gives up his sword long ago. He faces Surtur with nothing but a stag's horn. Tyr meets the hound Garma at the gates of Hel. Heimdall, the watcher of the gods, sounds his horn, Gjallarhorn, one last time. The sound is not sharp, not sudden, it is low, like the sky groaning. And then they clash. The gods, the giants, the monsters, the dead, not in swift battle, but in slow grinding destruction. Odin meets Fenrir. They circle. Odin strikes. Fenrir swallows him whole. Vidar, Odin's silent son, takes his father's place. He steps forward, places one foot on the wolf's jaw, and with both hands tears the beast apart. But it is too late. Thor finds Jormungandr, the great serpent. He strikes with Mjolnir, kills it, but takes 9 steps and falls, poisoned. Loki faces Heimdall. They kill each other. No final words. The fields are covered in ash and silence. And then comes Surtur. The fire giant raises his sword, and the world burns, not in chaos, but in completion. The seas rise, the mountains fall, everything is swallowed. And for a long moment, there is nothing. Only still water, only drifting ash, only silence. But this is not the end. Not quite. After the flames, the world emerges again. Softly, the new land green rises from the sea. The sun is reborn, her daughter now carries her light. Grasses wave, a single eagle flies. A few gods return, Balder finally released. Hoder too. 2 humans survive, hiding in the branches of Yggdrasil, Lif and Lifthrasir. They drink morning dew, they whisper to each other, they remember. They will walk this new world. They will name the trees, they will light new fires. No songs are sung, no horns are sounded, no thrones are rebuilt. The world simply continues, not triumphant, not mourning, just again. And that is the Norse cosmos, a cycle, a breath, beginning, becoming, breaking, beginning again. Now, as you lie still, let that cycle wrap around you. Not as a warning, not even as a story, but as a rhythm. Cold, warm, silent, rising. Just like sleep, just like dreams. When you're ready, we'll close the tale. Say continue for the final conclusion. And now the world has turned again. We have walked slowly through the Norse mythic cycle, from the first quiet melt in Ginnungagap, to the long shadow of prophecy, to the fire and silence of Ragnarok, and the green of what comes after. Not a story of glory, not of salvation, but of inevitability, of rhythm. This world is not made of heroes who win, it is made of beings who try, who face the end not to defeat it, but to meet it with dignity, and who return, in some form, even after everything is lost. There are no miracles in this mythology. There are only choices and time. The gods are flawed, they lie, they fail, they love, they prepare, and in the end they fall. But from their stories comes something deeper, a sense that all things move in cycles, that nothing is permanent, not even endings. There is no final resting place in Norse myth. Even death leads somewhere. Even ruin becomes soil. And through it all, the quiet things remain. A tree growing despite the gnawing at its roots. a crow circling in the sky, a mother with a bowl catching the drip of poison to ease her husband's pain, a god with one eye who sees far and still listens. These are the details that hold the world together. Not the battles, not the prophecies, but the gestures, the waiting, the endurance. And so now, as your breathing slows and your thoughts drift like snowflakes through the great gap of Ginnungagap, let these stories settle, not as lessons but as lullabies. There was a world before this one. There will be another after, and between them there is you, listening, remembering, resting. The gods have gone quiet now, the serpent sleeps beneath the sea, the stars are blinking back into the sky. The wind carries only soft things. Sleep well. You're part of the story now, and the story always begins again.